Hey, Warrior Saints. Glad to have you beautiful people with us as we continue our conversation from yesterday. How will we know that this war, this earthquake, this famine, and so on are the precursors to the end when Jesus Christ comes back and says, "Here I am"?
At
But
that point, it's too late.
it's too late. That's exactly right. I mean, at that point, he's here. His judgment day is over. So, what does that tell us then in even being concerned with these prophecies, to say, look how magic, it is? I think it's that whole, I mean, you've got that stuff written down, uh, read it for us, the thief in the night. In other words, you don't know. And when you do know, it's too late.
Yeah. So I think the first thing is from the book of First Thessalonians, Paul writes, "You yourselves are fully aware that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night."
Yeah.
So he's talking about this very thing, the day of the Lord, the coming of Christ is going to come. But he says it's like a thief in the night. Like you don't know when the thief in the night is going to show up. If you did, then you would not be caught unaware.
Right.
I mean, you would be prepared. You would be ready. You would know what's coming. And then he says to the people as a way to build them up, "You are not in darkness, brothers, for that day to surprise you like a thief." Like you're prepared. You are preparing yourselves. You are constantly and consistently doing what God has commanded you to do so that you are ready, so that it doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. Like in the Gospel of Matthew, the parable of the wise and foolish virgins in chapter 25 at the very beginning. He's telling you to be prepared because you don't know when the bridegroom is coming. The bridegroom might be delayed. I mean, we're currently in the process of living a life where the bridegroom is delayed.
Yeah.
That parable is precisely what's being talked about. But we're called to be prepared as though he's going to come at any moment, like a thief in the night.
Yeah.
And Paul says, but you are not darkness.
Yeah.
You are not living in this.
Yep. You've got that text, too. It made me think we got it prepped. The same thing in the book of Revelation. "Lo, I am coming like a thief. Blessed is he," here's your word, "who is awake, keeping his garments, so that he may not go naked and be seen exposed." So then to your point, to what you were bringing up, so then it's really for us not about focusing on the prophecy or the vision of it, but those things are there. And look, in some real sense, that Matthean text, "he will come like a thief in the night," could be perceived as a prophecy that the Lord was prophesying himself that at some point in the future, right? Now, and we've seen this over the years, that there are all those guys and gals out there, the doomsday guys who, we even saw one that took a billboard out that said on whatever day, June 25th, 2018, the world will end. Well, then on June 26th, what the hell do you do, right? So all those it's not about that stuff. The Lord already is telling us, don't worry about it. When I'm coming, it's not your business. Yeah. But be watchful. And as Revelation said, keep your garments. As First Thessalonians, was at 5 verse 4, you just put up there. Don't be in darkness. You are not darkness. You know better. So then maybe the real statement is, what do you do? Does that make sense? In other words, how do you, as a warrior saint, live, respond, react to what's given to you?
Yeah.
Because we're not supposed to get lost in that doomsday prophecy stuff.
And I think that's the first point of how you respond. You're not supposed to get lost in it. Mark, Gospel of Mark. The Pharisees come and begin to argue with him, seeking from him a sign from heaven to test him. He says, "Why does this generation seek a sign?" I think in Luke it says, "A woeful and sinful generation look for a sign." And then he says, "Truly I say to you, no sign shall be given to this generation." We're not supposed to run around looking for the signs.
Right.
We're not supposed to be begging for a sign.
Yeah.
Like that's the first point.
Yeah.
Is stop looking for it.
Yeah.
It might come, it might not.
I'm going to look something up.
Be prepared regardless.
Yeah. I'm going to look something up. Well, you're totally onto it.
But I mean, like wow. And what in us is looking for it? It's fear. It's wanting something to happen. It's wanting it because we know it's coming, and we don't like to be caught. We don't like to be surprised. We don't want to be caught unaware. and we want to know exactly what day and then when we seek out these signs and we have things telling us it's going to happen on this day at this time. Like, remember Y2K?
Yes.
The end of the world was coming on January 1st, 2000. And then people figured out, computer people figured out how to adjust the dates before that happened, and all of a sudden the banking system didn't collapse and the end of the world didn't come.
Yeah.
Right? So it's stuff that just keeps coming back. But our call by Christ is not to go out looking for it. Somewhere else he says that no sign will be given to this sinful generation except for the sign of Jonah. And what is Jonah doing? Jonah is running from the commandments of God. So the sign that we are given is that we're not supposed to be running from God's commandments. We're supposed to be following God's commandment.
Yeah.
We're not going to get caught in the belly of a whale. We're not going to be caught underneath a tree that's about to be withered up in front of us. We're supposed to be following God's commandments and doing what he has commanded us to do.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yep.
Don't look for a sign. You've got the sign. The sign is prepare.
Yep. So good. What some of the things you were talking about made me think, like that Mark text. They're seeking a sign, right? Truly, no sign shall be given. The Greek words simeon, sign, right, is actually the same word that St. Paul uses in 1 Corinthians, right? I don't know if you can grab it quick. If you can't, you can, don't worry. But in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, Paul is talking about the gospel of the cross. I'll read some, just for our ears. Christ didn't send me to baptize, but to preach the gospel, and not with eloquent wisdom, lest the cross of Christ be emptied of its power. For the word of the cross is folly, or the word foolishness, moria, like moronic, right? Moron, it's the same word. It's folly to those who are perishing, but to those who are being saved, it's the power of God, right? So the cross is this scandalous thing to the worldly eyes, but it's the power of God. And then you go to verse 22, right? Yeah. Four Jews demand signs, and it's the same word. That's what I was looking up to make sure. Simeon, right? Jews demand signs, and Greeks seek wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to the Jews, scandalon, like you can hear it, and even in English, scandalous to the Jews, and folly to the Gentiles, right? They're looking for signs and magic and all that kind of stuff. St. Paul, I'm telling you, just do the business, right? And then he says later in the same letter, for circumcision is of no value, nor is uncircumcision of any value, but doing the commandments of God, right? That's the business, to be crucifixional, to live that life, right? So I guess all of that rambling, I got lost in it, sorry. Our key as warrior saints is like, I can't control the world. Like, I have no control over Netanyahu or Trump or, any other world leader, whether Iranian or, Swahili. I have no Swaziland, but I have no control over that stuff. I can't control wars. I can barely control myself, let alone anyone else, right? So the question then is, how do I respond to the situations that life hands me? I don't mean that you should be ignorant, hide our heads in the sand, be ostrich and all that kind of stuff. And, obviously have some control and power over what you can. But more importantly, what Christ is looking for us to do is to respond preparedly, as we saw in the Matthew and Revelation text, be prepared and come a thief night, that stuff. But how do you deal with it? When something comes, how do you respond? In a Christ-like fashion or in a worldly fashion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Warrior Saints, thank you so much for being with us. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us get the word out there. And if you want more, visit us at warriorsaints.org and subscribe to Understanding the Bible. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.